Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From the Studio. I'm your host, Corey Riggs, welcoming you back inside our MC22 studio and happy to be with all of you once again after our long self-imposed hiatus as we navigated our way through the fall high school and college sports seasons. This is episode number 20 of the show, and we're going to take a look ahead to the upcoming college basketball season. Last year, the Missouri State Lady Bears were poised for another deep run into the postseason, but the pandemic denied them and their fans of that opportunity. Their head coach is Amaka Agugwa-Hamilton, and she will join us first on this show. Then we'll switch from talking about the Sweet 16 to the sweet sounds of music. The Springfield Symphony Orchestra has made a number of adjustments to be able to perform their 2020-2021 concert season, and their music director and conductor, Kyle Wiley Pickett, will talk about those changes, their concerts, and more a little bit later. If you like our show, please let us know on social media. We're open to suggestions on new topics or guests to have on here with us. You can look us up on Twitter at FromTheStudio22. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. Missouri State Lady Bears head coach Amaka Agugwa-Hamilton joins us next on From the Studio. Welcome back to From the Studio, everybody. Corey Riggs here with you now, ready to be joined by the head coach of the Missouri State Lady Bears, Coach Amaka Agugwa-Hamilton, who was the Maggie Dwyer Rookie of the Year coach, decided by the Women's Basketball Association last year. She was also the Missouri Valley Conference Coach of the Year, and coming into this season with a lot of high expectations around her and her Lady Bears program. Coach, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. How are you?
I'm great. I appreciate you guys having me.
No, we're thrilled to talk to you, and so much to get to. We are staring down the barrel of the start of the 2020-2021 college basketball season. Where are you all in the process right now? Practice has begun, correct?
Yes, it has. And actually, we're further along than I thought we would be, having missed out on the summer. I'm pleased with where we are. I think we're in pretty good shape. We've done some scrimmaging, like inter-squad scrimmaging, and we also scrimmaged our practice guys not too long ago. So obviously there's still a lot to work on, but I think we're in good shape. I think that we have a lot of stuff in. I think that, our players are retaining more because they understand the system and the style of play now. Not everything is new. So I like where we are.
Well, that is good to hear. Let's talk about something that is also a little fun. We mentioned right off the top, you won the Missouri Valley Coach of the Year award from the league. This team is the defending regular season champions. Very likely could have been the postseason tournament champions as well. You all got your hardware handed out the other day, those Missouri Valley Conference championship rings. Now, for you and your ladies, was that a big celebration? Was it the alarm clock going off saying it's time to get back to work, or a little of both?
A little of both. I mean, it was awesome. It was a celebration. We had fans come out, obviously social distance and wearing masks, but we just wanted to close that chapter. Obviously, it was left open because of the pandemic. The way that it ended, everybody understands that now. The way our season ended last year. So we wanted to just have some closure, get our rings, celebrate it, and then kind of move on to the next chapter. New season, new goals, new team. Because our team isn't the same as it was last year. We had some graduate, we had some come in as freshmen. So just get focused for the new year. But you got to have some closure. And, we really wanted to celebrate what we did last year because we had a lot of accomplishments that we, and goals that we reached. So we just didn't want to leave that open.
No, but it was nice that you were able to involve probably not as many fans as you wanted, but some fans, because the Lady Bears have got some very, very loyal, faithful followers. That is for sure here in Southwest Missouri. You mentioned your team and the makeup of it. Talk about who's not coming back this year. Who did you lose to graduation, and who are maybe some of the key contributors that you're looking at and maybe making up the starting five early on in the season?
Well, the most notable senior that graduated was Alexa Willard. She was our leading scorer, go-to player a lot of the times. But I think the beauty in what we had last year was we were deep. So we do return a lot. I mean, we really returned 4 starters. But yes, Alexa Willard, and then we had Shamika Ely, who actually averaged around 10 minutes a game for us last year, hit some big shots, had some big plays, helped us win some games. So she lost, and then she left. And then we also lost Sydney Schultz, who was actually supposed to be a senior, but she graduated early and just wanted to get on to grad school. So she's doing that back home in Chicago. So, we lost 3 seniors. We brought in 2 freshmen. But we have a lot returning. We have a lot of scoring power coming back. Some of our best defenders coming back. So I think we're going to be a deep team again. We got about, really, we could probably go 10, 11 deep, honestly. Practice is super competitive. A lot of upperclassmen, that understand the system now and our leaders. And, we have a player-led team right now. So, I'm not really coaching a lot of things that you typically have to coach coming in as a new coach, maybe energy and focus and the details of the offense. Now we can kind of pick up where we left off last year and just get better, because not everything is new. So I'm excited. We have a veteran team coming back, and as a coach, you love that, because then you can work a little bit more on the X's and O's and things, and not just teaching your system and style of play and the pace and all that stuff that comes with college basketball.
Let me ask you specifically about one group, and that is your forwards or your posts. A lot of coaches, a lot of analysts talk about positionless basketball now. Those bigger players, taller players down low. It's been a guard-dominant game. A lot of teams going into a season are kind of post-poor. They might have one, but it kind of drops off after that. You are post-rich, Coach. Talk to me about these players, starting with Jasmine Franklin.
Yeah, I expect a lot from our post players. We're pretty deep in that position. We're pretty deep in a lot of positions. So I expect a lot of people to step up. But as far as Jasmine Franklin, she's playing at a very high level right now. Super athletic. She's finishing better with her right hand. Obviously, she's left hand dominant, but that right hand is getting stronger and stronger every day. She's stretching her game a little bit, hitting some outside shots, and just playing with a high motor. She's been a beast on the boards for us, rebounding wise, since she's gotten here. But I just see her taking her game to the next level and really taking ownership and trying to be more of a leader. But then you also have Abby Hipp, who has actually declared that she's going to take that extra year that the NCAA is giving. So we're going to have Abby for 2 more years, even though she's a senior now. I'm super excited about that because she's a culture kid. She's a very fundamentally sound kid, probably one of our best low post scoring post players. But she's stretching her game as well and just being a great leader. She's a senior captain. So those 2 obviously bring a lot of experience, but then you have Emily Gardner. She's, big body in there. She's stretching her game. She's being physical. I just see a lot of improvement on her end too. She's gotten in great shape. And then Abigail Jackson, the transfer from Auburn, and she's super athletic. She can shoot the ball. Just very finesse post player. She brings experience from the SEC. She brings a lot, and I think those 4 post players for sure are going to give people problems. And then we also have Trinity Knapp, who was a freshman last year, who is a sophomore this year, who's more of a 3-point shooting post player, finesse, that's improved her game a lot. So we're pretty deep in that position on our 4 and 5s. And I expect us to be able to play all of them, and for all of them to contribute. So I'm excited about our post play.
Yeah, I had a couple opportunities to call some of your games on ESPN3, ESPN Plus last year, and a couple of Trinity Knapp threes stand out to me late in games. She showed her range early and often. I want to pivot from talking about the game to the players and your role with them. You have said from the moment you got to Springfield that basketball is important, but it is about family. Yeah, it is about your grades. It is about God and the pillars of kind of what you build this program around. We're just now getting past the presidential election. What did you talk to your team about as far as registering to vote, getting out to vote, and how important that is in their young lives?
Well, it's extremely important. And, I do my best to just try and prepare them for the future. Life after basketball is important, and just their growth as a person. We're gonna develop them on the court. Of course, we got great coaches, and we're skilled in that area. But developing them as a human being and as a person that's going to be successful in society is equally or even more important to me. So just getting them all registered to vote. We made sure we did that well in advance of the election day. A lot of them voted early, actually. But that, it's just really, it's not about telling them who to vote for. That's a personal choice.
Yeah.
We never talk about that. But, if they needed more education on, what people were talking about, what political parties were talking about, then we could direct them in the areas, people to talk to on that. But we don't want to put our opinions on them. It's just about exercising their rights to vote, and the importance to be able to do that and affect change in your community, in the country, all over. So we just educated them on that. You do have a voice, your opinion matters, and you matter in our society. So I just wanted to make sure that they utilize that opportunity to get out there and affect change.
Speaking of change, you'd have to live in a cave to not notice the racial injustice and the societal issues that we've seen going all the way back to it really becoming big in the news over the course of the summer. I saw on Twitter you all have put out your warm-up stuff, your shoot-around gear, black and white tops, big Missouri State Lady Bears logo on the front, but the word race across the back. What does that stand for your team this year?
Well, the acronym is, obviously it says race, and the acronym is respect all colors equally. And we wanted to figure out something that, our Lady Bears family stood for, and put that message out there. So, it's important that throughout this process of, this turmoil that we were living in, this almost modern day civil war we were living in here, that our players continued to have a safe place where they felt like there was no judgment zone. They could express their concerns, their questions, fears, anxiety, and know that in our family, we don't have any of that, and that we have each other's back. And I just wanted them to feel safe and feel like they had the opportunity to connect with each other. And we had a lot of intimate talks as a team. We even had speakers come in. I've been trying to do my part in the community as well. But we wanted to put a message out that stood for, just focus on more of love and unity and just bringing people together rather than dividing people. And so that's where we got that acronym from, because it just really represented who we are. We have diversity on our team, people from different backgrounds, race, ethnicity, all of that. And we just wanted a statement that stood for what we stood for. So, respect all colors equally is what we came up with.
Well, Coach, it's a good sentiment that we need right now. You've got a great team, and we are really looking forward to seeing what trip the Lady Bears and you take us on for the upcoming season. Thank you so much for coming on the show with us.
Thank you for having me. Y'all stay healthy and safe out there.
We will. Coach Mox from the Missouri State Lady Bears joining us here on From the Studio. We'll take a break. Back with more here in just a minute.
This year has challenged all of us. As we're stuck being closer to some, but further from others, our relationships have never felt so important. At Big Brothers Big Sisters, this crisis has solidified our mission. We are matching at-risk youth with mentors, giving them the skills and confidence to reach their full potential. Because we know that mentorship changes lives, strengthens communities, and builds hope for the future. We need that now more than ever. Help us ignite the power and promise of youth.
From the Studio continues now on MC22, and we are joined by Kyle Wiley-Pickett from the Springfield Symphony Orchestra. Kyle, thank you so much for coming on with us, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry to not be sitting next to you like we normally do, but I'm happy to be talking to you right now.
Yeah, I'm happy to have any sort of contact at this point in time, whether it's virtual or otherwise. It's nice to have a conversation with somebody that isn't my teenage son or my dog. So that's a benefit. Well, I tell you what, let's start with the topic that I have had bouncing around in my head for a while now. We have obviously been in the grips of this pandemic dating all the way back to March, and there is tons of information on the nightly news every night about the health of Americans, the mental health of Americans, what this is doing to our economy. I don't know that enough people have been talking about one industry that hasn't really been able to climb out of this sort of pandemic funk yet, and that's the performing arts. How do you see the performing arts landscape in the nation currently?
Yeah, it's a real it's been such a challenge for our whole industry, and I group in all of the live performances, and frankly even what's going on in the movie theater industry as well, because the nature of what we do. People ask me, what does a symphony do? And of course the obvious answer is we play classical music. We play orchestra concerts of classical music, but at essence, what we really do is gather people. I mean, that's the fundamentally most important thing that live performance does, is it gathers a group of people in the audience to experience something all at the same time and in the same place. And moreover, when you're talking about an orchestra, which usually has 50 to 80, 90 people, we're gathering 50 to 90 people on the stage in one small place to play. And so that's the one thing that we have not really, that we can't do right now with the pandemic, is do that with any sense of normalcy. And so nationally, things are pretty bleak for the performing arts. It's tough times. And my heart goes out to my friends and colleagues who are especially on the coasts, where the restrictions have been really tight about the ability to bring people together, but actually through the whole country. We here in Springfield are a rare case where we are performing. I mean, there are other orchestras performing right now, but not very many, and certainly not very many compared to the numbers that we have in the country. And so, we have taken extraordinary precautions and measures, and our concerts, they don't look like a normal concert, but we're very grateful that we are able to play, and we feel like the protocols that we put into place to protect our players are strong, among the strongest in the industry. The protocols that we have in place to protect our audience are among the strongest in the industry. And even though you can never reduce the risk of transmission to zero, we feel like we have mitigated the risk to a level that is acceptable and possible, to make it possible for us to play. And so we are really, really, really grateful to be able to play right now.
What do you think? I mean, obviously a lot of planning goes into coming up with all of the music and the accompaniments and everything that is going to make a season for the Springfield Symphony Orchestra. Obviously this season is like no other. What's maybe the one thing that you never really thought of that you got into the middle of this and had to start making adjustments for?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you looked at my computer, my files on my computer, I think we're on Springfield Symphony 2021 season version 5. Although honestly, I actually just had to make a bunch of changes this week, so I think we're technically on version 6 right now. And I had been tracking what had been going on with the virus really early, because I was supposed to go and conduct concerts in China in May. And so I'd been following what was happening over there, and so I had already started thinking about what we might have to change. My original season plan actually involved bringing artists from all over the world to come and perform with us this current season that we're in right now. And it was actually called an East Meets West concert. And it wasn't, I realized pretty quickly this is not going to happen. And so I started planning a new season, which I did. But then when restrictions, we started realizing we're not going to be able to put the entire orchestra on the stage, at least not the way that we normally do. So I started revising. So it's been a constant process of revision. And what's been interesting about it is, my goal stays the same, which is to provide our audience members with an enriching, an engaging, an uplifting, a transformative experience when they come to see a symphony concert. Something that's going to make you feel good, that's going to make you feel changed, different when you leave the hall than when you arrive. And so when that's the goal, then you can modify the music, the program, and still achieve that goal. And so even though I've had to do multiple versions of our season plan. I'm not disappointed or unhappy with any of the concerts that we have in front of us. In fact, I've been really pleased with the concerts that we've played so far, from an artistic perspective and from a response perspective from the audience. I've had real raves come back at us for the music that we're doing. And I think honestly right now, especially because we've all been so shut off from gathering together and from experiencing cultural events together, I think that everything we do right now has a heightened impact on our audience and on us as performers as well. And so it has been really rewarding, but challenging. So
you've taken on a new audience this year, Kyle. This is the first year you've begun streaming the concerts. For some people that maybe still don't feel safe enough, even with all the precautions that are being taken, to come to Juanita K. Hammonds Hall for the performing arts, see you all in person. What has the response been like to that?
Yeah, it's been really strong. And, over the last few years, I'd say over the last 3 or 4 years, we've had record-breaking attendance at the Springfield Symphony, and it's just been ramping up. And so last year, before we shut down, we had sellouts or close to sellouts in all of our concerts. And Juanita K, that seats 2,300. That's a lot of people in there. And obviously, you cannot pack a hall that tightly and keep people safely socially distanced. And so there are two things that we did. One of the things that we did was to add the live stream, which I'll talk about in just a second. The other thing we did was to decide to do 2 performances of each concert. So on any given Saturday, rather than just a 7:30 evening performance, we're also doing a matinee in the afternoon. So that was effectively to split up our audience and put a smaller cohort of people in the theater so that they could all be distanced. No one is closer, no party is closer than 8-10 feet from any other party. We require masking. We're really taking that seriously. We're at a quarter capacity in the hall. But the other thing we did was to start the live stream, and we've been so grateful to Mediacom, to you, because we've had a long time partnership with you for rebroadcasts of the performances, which is still going on. But you and our audio engineer and KSMU, we've all really come together to be able to create a web-based live stream of the performance on the night that it's happening. And so even though we can't gather everybody in the hall at the same time, we have a lot of people who are tuning in online to see the concerts and are getting to experience that sense of community and gathering, even if we're not in one place. And as your viewers know, you've got a professional multi-camera setup that we have going on the stage. So we have cameras that are moving around. I have an assistant conductor who's helping to direct the cameras as far as where they are shooting during the performances. We have our professional audio engineer. So we've got a really high quality product, I think, that's going out. And we've had a lot of really, really positive response from people who enjoy hearing and seeing these concerts and not having to go out if they're not comfortable going out. We've also had a good response from people who go to the concerts and then want to watch it again later. They get to see a replay. And we've had a great response from people like my mom, who's in California, who couldn't come to the concerts, and she's getting to watch all of my performances on Saturday nights simultaneous with the audience. And so that's been really a positive step forward. I anticipate that even after the pandemic's over, we're going to continue to do live stream broadcasts. I think that you can't replace the live audience experience.
Absolutely.
But you can augment the live audience experience, which is what we're doing with the live stream.
SpringfieldMoSymphony.org is the website to find out about the upcoming scheduled dates, the Symphony's streaming service that we've partnered with them on, and everything else in regards to how to support the Springfield, Missouri Symphony. Kyle Wadley-Pickett, thank you so much for coming on, man. I look forward to seeing you over at Hammonds Hall soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We'll be back to wrap up from the studio here in just a minute.
Comfort food, those familiar dishes that take us back to the best times with family and friends. At the Springfield Symphony, we think it's time for a little symphonic comfort food. Classical goodness bursting with musical flavor. Join us for an evening filled with holiday songs and warm cheer, just like a big platter of Christmas cookies waiting for Santa, December 5th at Hammond's Hall. Join us at our table for a feast of musical favorites.
Hi, I'm Judy Ballou, your host for Dishing It Up. I invite you to join me every week as we watch some of the Ozarks' favorite chefs come into the demonstration kitchen at Metro Appliances and More and prepare some of their favorite dishes.
This is fun for TV.
You
do sweet and savory together all the time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Watch Dishing It Up on channel 722 in high definition.
Well, that'll about do it for this episode of From the Studio. Remember, you can follow this show on Twitter at FromTheStudio22, or you can follow me at Corey Riggs TV. If you've got an idea for a topic or a guest, please send it our way. We'll try to get them lined up for an upcoming show. Before we go, I'd like to end this episode with a comment on our most recent presidential election. So much has been made in the media of this being a historic election, and they're not wrong. It has been. But not for many of the reasons that the folks on social media or television or even radio have given. In my humble opinion, this year's election is historic because we the people voted in numbers that have not been seen in over 100 years. The highest numbers since the 1900 presidential election. Some voted early, some absentee, and even more in person on Election Day. And it doesn't matter to me who you voted for. It matters that you took part. 85% of registered voters in the county I live in, Greene County, voted this year. That's up from 69% just 4 years ago. That's remarkable. Thanks to all of you for adding your voice to the chorus of this democracy. Thomas Jefferson once wrote that we do not have government by the majority. We have government by the majority who participate. And this year we did, surpassing voting numbers that we have not seen in far too long. In a year that has taken so much from so many, I found it heartwarming to stand in line, mask on, with my fellow Americans and cast my vote, to stand up and be counted. It reinvigorates me each time I do so. It makes me hopeful in a year where hope has been hard to come by. I know it's not a popular sentiment to a lot of Americans nowadays, but sometimes getting a participation trophy is okay. And this is one of those times. Our final thank yous for this episode go out to our great guests, Coach Mox from the Missouri State Lady Bears basketball program and from the Springfield Symphony Orchestra, Kyle Wiley-Pickett. And as always, thanks to all of you for watching. Until next time, for all of us here at MC22, I'm Corey Riggs saying so long from the studio.